Hi, my dear lovely students. How are you? Welcome to the session. So, in this video, we are going to learn how to solve sentence completion questions which have got two blanks in it, right? So, it's going to be an interesting session. Let's get started. My name is Juhi Narula. Now, see, whenever we talk about any sentence completion question, we need to actually understand that what would we need in order to answer the question correctly. So, for any fill in the blank or sentence completion questions, there are two major areas where we need to focus. One, we need to understand the statement. So, at times, we have seen that a lot of students would channelize their energy to retain the words, and they'll keep on improving the vocabulary, which is also of course required. So I'm not denying that you don't need to have a strong word base, but they absolutely ignore this particular area where they need to put adequate effort and practice to comprehend the sentence correctly. So a lot of students report that despite knowing the words, they could not answer the fill in the blank questions correctly because they could not actually understand the sentence. So, this is one major area, and what people do is leave this particular practice for the last. So, this should not happen. Building vocabulary base and practicing comprehension and comprehending the sentences should be done simultaneously, right? So this is one important thing. Please note it down. Don't make this mistake that you leave revisions and you know uh, solving questions for the end, and meanwhile you're just learning words. So you would also not know that how many words have you learned so far, or how is your vocab improving until you actually solve some practical questions, right? So one thing is understand the statement. So of course in this class we are going to focus a lot on the right strategy to solve the sentence completion questions. What should be the right approach? And the second would be, of course, to know the words, right? So vocabulary building is very important. It is paramount. It is something that we cannot do without. No matter whatever competitive exam we are appearing for, if it has got verbal ability in it, and of course for all the competitive exams we usually have the verbal ability section. So this is actually needed that we focus on knowing words. So vocabulary would be needed not only to answer the vocab based questions, but it would also be required where you're solving a reading comprehension. The entire passage is based on ornithology and you don't know what that it is, so it's going to put you in deep trouble, and that we wouldn't want. So, if we talk about that, how do we enhance our vocabulary? So, my suggestion would be that it should be done regularly. This is one very important recommendation, that maybe if you're learning 5 words or 6 words, but it should be on everyday basis, right? Learning all the words together in a short span of 15-20 days would not be, feasible. When I see students, they start picking up lists and start cramming them. So cramming is never a solution. So if you're working on vocabulary, try to associate, do a lot of discussion around that particular word, or make flashcards. Take good quality piece of paper, write 5 words that you have learned the entire day, and with each word try to write two antonyms and two synonyms. Maybe if I'll just show it to you, that how can you go about it. You can simply do this thing, that you take a good quality piece of paper and make a small card. So what I used to do was, I used to take the cards which we used to get for wedding invitations, right? So they're good quality paper. So the idea behind it is that the paper is not going to get crumbled, right? So if you're going to take copy papers, they're very thin and easily they are going to crumble and crush, that we wouldn't want, right? So take the size of the card to be small, preferably that of a playing card, so that these cards can easily slip on in your pockets and they're easy to carry. So at times you're waiting for the metro, or you are in the metro, you're waiting for the cab, or there is a break in between two lectures, or maybe your teacher has asked you to solve a question, you've already done it, and everybody else is doing it. So whenever you get those few seconds, you can take a glance at these particular cards, and believe me on this, that I've personally tried it, and it really really works. And you must have seen that you know In recent trend, flashcards have become really popular, not only with the students but also for children. There are a lot of flashcards that you will see where, there are animal figures or numbers. So this is an approach which is really becoming popular and it works effectively. So you can take a good quality piece of paper, you can write 5 words. So it is highly personalized. I'm just suggesting one way. You can slightly vary, or you can tweak the card as per your requirement. You can be as creative as you wish to be. Now you take one word and you write two antonyms and two synonyms of it. So if we'll see that ways, we'll be able to incorporate 25 words in a card, right? Also, while you flip the main card, the keyword, the main word can be used in a sentence. That ways retention becomes better because you have started learning how to use that particular word, right? Make 5 such cards, right? So in a week you can keep a target of making learning five making 5 such cards. You can go make it in one go, or you can make one every day, however it suits you. I would recommend that make all 5 together, right? So that every time you're revising, you have more flashcards with you. And then you have to simply do this thing, that you get 125 words in a week to learn. So that is one tentative target that you can make. You can reduce the target or you can increase the target depending on the availability of time you have, right? And what is your present condition. If you feel that you know a lot of words, see, there is nobody who knows each and every word in this planet, right? So everybody has to do it, right? If you are in the beginner level where there is a requirement of learning a lot of words, then maybe you can increase the number of cards. But if you feel that I'm okay if I learn 125 words, that pace is fine, and maybe I'll be appearing for the exam next year, so till then I can just make 5 cards every week. That should also suffice, right? So I take a goal of 125 words in a week. This is something which is absolutely reachable. So keep on looking at the cards whenever you get time, and you'll be actually happy to see the results, that you are not going to forget these 125 words. But then you have to ensure that the cards are always with you and you're not even wasting seconds, and you're revising the words whenever you get time. So this is one very interesting vocabulary building approach. Then you can create mnemonics. Mnemonics are memory tools that you create in order to, retain the word. So, like there is this word lassitude. So I can say lassi पी के lassitude आ गया, right? So इससे relate करना आसान हो जाता है. So you can create your own mnemonics. You can learn roots. So you must have seen that there are a lot of advertisements which would say that in 1 hour we will teach you 200 words or 300 words. How does that happen? That happens with the help of this approach where we trainers focus on helping the student learn the root. Like there is this simple word, if I give you, there is this root cracy, right, which means rule. Now you can have this word autocracy, which dictatorship, right? You can have democracy, right? You can have bureaucracy, you can have theocracy, you can have plutocracy. So there's so many words that you can learn if you know the root rightly. So this is another approach. Now there can be kangaroo words also. You can put the words in a group also. So there are a lot of interesting approaches to vocabulary building. Assimilate. Don't be dependent on just cramming the words. That's the biggest mistake students do, and then they would later regret that despite putting effort, we could not crack the questions because the effort was not in the right direction. Cramming, the output would be very short lived. It's not going to give you a long term output, and that we wouldn't want, right? So of course knowing the words is important, and then understanding the statement we are going to focus, right? So let's get started. So this is the strategy that you can use to solve a typical sentence completion question. So see, what happens is when students start solving the questions, they would be able to reach to the correct answer for the easier ones, right? They would not want a strategy, and then they would see that why there is a need. I'm able to answer the question. Yes, with easy questions you can reach to the correct answer without knowing the strategy. But when there is a tricky question or there's a complex question, and if you are doing it without any strategy or without any approach, then you are going to put yourself in trouble, right? And the most unfortunate part in English is that just by looking at the question, you can't identify whether the question is easy or difficult, right? So why to take a risk? And it is always good to have a dedicated path approach, so you have a fixed method to, reach to the right answer. There is no confusion, there is no commotion. So I strongly believe that any type of question that you are solving, it is good to learn the strategy, and then sometime we should, actually give to apply the strategy to the question. So first know the strategy, then learn the application. Now once you know the application, then start focusing on getting accuracy, right? It doesn't happen overnight that you have just attended the class, you know the strategy, you'll be learning the application quickly, you'll get the correct answers, and you'll be able to do everything in time. No, it does require an effort. By the time, I'm sure you must have, seen your cousins or seniors appearing for competitive exams, and you know that this actually is a huge task, and it requires a lot of consistent effort because you are acquiring skill sets, right? That would need time. So please set your goals clear. First is know the strategy, then learn how to apply the strategy. Once you know the application of strategy, then the next thing that you need to keep in mind is that you should start getting accuracy out of the results, right? And then final thing would be that if everything is sorted, then try to finish the questions in time. By the time you will reach to that step, you would already be confident because you will be reaching to the right answers. So the moment you start feeling confident about any particular topic, time factor is almost taken care of. Once you're able to, start solving questions in time, then it is the actual time where you can, start taking mock tests and then get ready for the final battle, right? So let's quickly explore that what should be done to solve a typical sentence completion question. Primarily in this class, we are going to talk about dual blanks. So there are two blanks, so nobody has suggested that, it's nowhere written that we start solving the first blank and then we move to the second one. It is not needed, it is not required. You start with the blank that you find easy, right? At times, even by decoding one blank, people are able to reach to the right answer. So we can strategically start with a blank which is easy. We can use that particular portion, complete the chain, and then, reach to the next part or the remaining part, so that the overall idea comes out to be clear, right? Then once we have identified that, okay, either I will solve the first blank or I will go for the second blank first, then look for the subject of discussion. So what do we mean by subject of discussion? Identify who or what are we talking about, right? This is important. So what is the agenda of discussion? Who or what are we talking about? We should actually think about it, right? Then explore more about the subject. So if we have identified that we are talking about this particular person or this particular situation, then see what is the additional information given. Like if I'll give you a simple example, um, Ram gives a lot of money for charity, hence he is dash. I know it's a simple example, but still to focus. Say we have identified that the discussion is about Ram. So this is the second step. I'm taking a singular plan just to show you the application of second and third step. Ram gives a lot of money to charity. So who are we talking about? Ram. Now what is the additional information? Here we take into consideration this step where we say that find the additional information or insight you get regarding the subject. So what is the insight? That he gives a lot of money to charity, right? So look for transition words. So what are the transition words? Transition words are very crucial clues, and I would definitely recommend transition words while we, observing transition words rather, while we solve reading comprehension or para jumbles or para completion, or when we are talking about sentence completion. These are clues offered which you should utilize to the core to ensure that, you are able to reach to the right answer. So what are transitions? Let me explain you here. If I make a statement for you, I really like you and I ask you to complete the statement. And another statement I make is, I really like you, but. So these are two sentences in front of you. So if you take a look at the first sentence, I really like you, and so you are going to insert any positive idea to make the sentence complete. I really like you and let's be friends. I really like you and let's study together. I really like you and let's go out for a movie together. If you take a look at the second sentence, I really like you, but. I really like you, but we can't be friends. I really like you, but we cannot study together, right? So, any idea that you're inserting in this is a negative one. Now, if you typically look at the sentence, you'll realize that in both the cases, this particular part remains to be the same, right? So, both the sentences, this portion is absolutely identical, but the way we are completing the sentence is absolutely opposite. And how are we reaching to that particular conclusion? With the help of observing the words and but. Since and is a positive transition word, so we know that we are going to take the discussion in the forward direction. But is a negative transition word, hence we are deciding that we are going to take the discussion in the negative direction. So this is something that you need to keep in mind while we are solving the questions, that if you get some transition words, words like furthermore, moreover, in addition to, nonetheless, in spite, despite, yet, these are simple words. It's not that you don't know these words or you would have to require an effort to cram these words. You're already aware. What you need to do is make a conscious effort to observe these words so that you are able to reach to the right answer. So if you take a look at this sentence, which we are taking as an example, hence is the word, hence he is. So this is a conclusion, so we would want to reach to a conclusion here. Now, next statement that we can see as a step is thinking of an answer for the blank you are working on. So what happens is we would be in a lot of rush to quickly jump to the answer choices and mark the correct answer. So just take a while and predict the answer. Please don't bypass this step. We usually take a look at the answer choices, and then some incorrect answer choice can definitely sway us. But if we have got an answer in our mind and then we take a look at the options, our life would really become easy. Right? So while we are thinking of answers, there are two important suggestions that I would like to give it to you. One would be keep the word choice to be simple, and if possible keep the word choice to be recycled. Right, so what do we mean by recycled? So Ram gives a lot of money for charity, hence he is charitable. So that's what we mean by the recycle word. So what can be my predicted word in this case? That he is charitable, right? Or if you want to keep it simple, you can say kind. And then take a look at the answer choices. And if the sentence has got a later part to it, now you have one portion that is complete, that is giving you a cohesive sense. Utilize this particular part to reach to the more complex portion of the sentence completion, and repeat these steps in order to reach to the final answer. Right, so I hope you are sorted with the approach. Let's see some questions in order to understand the application. So, like I said, notice transition words. This is a quick drill where we are going to focus on the transition words. So, I'll give you 5 minutes. Please complete these sentences and then we are going to discuss in detail. We know what are transition words, what are time clues, words like now, then. Like, say, if I give you a statement, she used to be poor, now she is. So, of course, her answer is now she is rich. So used to, now, previously, these are time clue indicators that can also be utilized in order to reach to the right answer. So you can see there are 10 sentences on the screen. Please take 5 minutes and complete these sentences. These are simple ones, so the application would be easy for you. And then we are going to move to the complex ones. Please start doing it. Try it, observe the transitions, apply the steps, and once you know how to solve single blank questions, then of course reaching to dual blanks would be relatively easy for you. So let's begin the discussion. Tamsin really liked Mary and wanted to. So in this case, first we are going to see who are we talking about. We are talking about Tamsin. What is the additional information? That he really liked Mary. And is there any transition word? And wanted to. So after observing the transition word, we would understand that any idea that we are going to fit in here would be a positive one. Since we do not have options, so we can have multiple answers. And wanted to marry, this is what I am able to think of, right? And wanted to be friends. Anything that you feel is a positive idea can be inserted here. Come to the second one. Gail is enrolled in an MBA program. In addition to it, he also. So, who are we talking about? Gail. What is the additional information that he has enrolled in an MBA program? Do we see transition words? So, I will do one thing. I'll put the transitions in box for you to observe. In addition to means that there's something else also he's doing it. In addition to, he also is learning to code. This is my answer. You can say he's also preparing for some competitive exams, or he's also helping his father in the business. He has started his own entrepreneur thing. Any idea which says that there's something additional that's being done, right? Take a look at the third statement. I used to work in Raipur now. So who are we talking about? We are talking about I. What is the additional information that you're getting? That I used to work in Raipur. Now, is there transition in terms of time? Yes, now. So that means things are differing now. So now there's something that has changed. So maybe I can say now I live in Noida, right? So that's how you can complete the sentence. Come to the next one. So yeah, the trend transition is now. Previously, he was very rigid. It is pleasant to see. So, in this case, who are we talking about? We are talking about he. So, what is the additional information? He was very rigid. Now it is pleasant. Is there any transition? Yes, there is a transition in terms of time. So, previously. So, I can write time transitions, TT. Okay, so these are time transitions. This is a positive transition word, and this is again a positive transition word. So previously he was very rigid. It is pleasant to see. So now if it is pleasant, that means things have changed. So now it is pleasant to see that he is flexible, or for that matter, he is not rigid. Right? So that's how we complete the sentence. I hope you are getting the idea. These are not difficult questions, but it is just that knowing the right strategy and approaching the question in a focused fashion will help you reach to the correct answer. Let's take a look at the fifth sentence. Although the rest of the group gave up on mountain climbing, Richard. So this is important to identify that we are talking about Richard. Now, what is the additional information the sentence is offering? That the rest of the group gave up on mountain climbing. Now, it is very important that you observe the term although. If you are going to miss on this, then you are going to reach to an incorrect answer, right? If you just remove although, or if you're not noticing it, the rest of the group gave up on mountain climbing, Richard agreed. But when we see this term although, that then we are able to realize that Richard is doing something else. The rest of the group gave up on mountain climbing, Richard continued. Richard did not give up, right? So either you can say Richard continued or Richard did not give up, right? Did not, with did not you use verb first form. Please don't make this mistake. A lot of times we do, but this is one important error which is noticed. Now come to sentence 6. It was raining hard, hence. So if you are able to see, what are we talking about? The rain was hard. Are we able to see any transition? Yes. What is the transition? Hence. What is the role of hence? Hence acts as a conclusion indicator. Hence he did not go for shopping, right? So any activity which was stopped because of rains, right? So come to sentence 7. She loved the chocolates made by her friend, but, so are you able to see who are we talking about? We are talking about she, right? What is the additional information? That she loved the chocolates made by her friend. Now, what is this transition doing? But is saying that, but she cannot eat it. She loves it, but she can't eat it. Or, but the chocolates have been spoiled. Any idea that is going opposite in direction. Come to the next one. Ross was troubled by the setback and therefore. So, who are we talking about? We are talking about Ross. What is the additional information? That he was troubled by the setback. Now, what are the transitions and and therefore? So, what is if he's troubled and there is this and? So, the discussion is going to proceed in the same direction, right? So, you're going to say, and therefore he left the opportunity, right? Or anything that shows that he couldn't move on despite his disability. Gerald was always, so who are we talking about? We are talking about Gerald. What is the additional information? That he has got disability despite. So again there is a transition despite, so there is disability, but Gerald was always fighting, right? Or fighting or aggressive or smiling or cheerful, something that conveys that the disability did not affect Gerald, right? Come to the last one. He was disinterested and unwell, however. So if you will see, we are talking about he. The rest of the statement gives an information that he was disinterested and unwell. Now there is this transition, however. So however is suggesting that there's something opposite happened. However, he still attended the party. Okay. So I hope we are clear with some fundamentals. We've understood how transitions play an important role, how time clues work, and how they can help us reach to the right answer. So it's time to get started and let's check this question. Okay, so this is the first question that's there in front of you. Let's actually try it together and then we are going to, further move on. So it's a dash for every taxpayer to dash the tax returns to the income tax department. So I'm going to start with the second blank. I find it far more easier. So I'm going to pick this blank. So it is dash for every taxpayer to pay the tax returns, right? So this is important. Evade is escape. So this choice can be eliminated. Extraneous is something which is unnecessary. So this choice can also be eliminated. Pay and submit can match. Lodge is when you lodge a complaint, right? You don't lodge the tax. So this also goes out. Now, though it is very easy that we are able to reach to C as the final answer, but you can still take a look at the rest of the statement. It is essential, right? It you could have easily begun with this part. So imperative is something which is necessary, essential. So we know that the right answer is going to be C. Indolent is lazy, implicit is hidden, right? So I'm sure you are clear with the question. So it is very simple. It is not that it would require a lot of time to actually learn the application, or there would be additional 2 minutes added. It will get into the flow, right? So initially if you go to a new place, right, you start going to, you remember the first day when you took your bike and went to your college. So you were tracing the way, but 4, 5, 6, 7 days down the lane, you did not even, don't even think where do you take the next turn. It is just imbibed in the system. The same is going to happen. For initial some questions you might need to put an effort, but once you have practiced a lot of questions, it will get into your system, and then application would really become easy, right? So please try this. I'll give you a minute and then we will start with the discussion. Okay, so let's discuss. Sally was a dash employee, so I can't solve this blank, right? Because this is not giving me any information. So we can move to the second blank. This is what I was trying to explain, that it is not always necessary that you solve the blank in the order in which they appear. You can twist and turn and start with the blank that is easy to start, and hence expected dash of her effort. So if we are going to see, we are going to understand that she's putting an effort, so she would want, we are talking about Sally, and there's this transition, hence expected what, appreciation of her effort, right? सो अप्रिसिएशन कब एक्सपेक्ट करेगा एम्प्लॉय, जब वो सिंसियर होगा, right? So we have sincere and appreciation as our predicted words. Since the chain could be completed, we can start with the elimination process, right? So if we are going to start with the first blank, since we have already reached here, so we can say diligent, so it matches with sincere, we can keep this. Brazen is harsh. Incognizant is something which is not clear or difficult to understand. Lethargic is lazy. So the only blank that fits in would be A. Right. So ignorance goes out. Admonishment is scolding. Bewilderment is being crazy or unsure, or slightly puzzled. So approbation is appreciation. So the correct answer is going to be A. So you can see these questions are easy. These questions are manageable. All you need to do is be absolutely aware of the word. So I would, yes, definitely say that you can't undermine the importance of vocabulary, but of course, strategy application is also important. So practice definitely makes progress. It gets you into the rhythm. So we are going to solve some questions now. We have done some warm work. Time to solve some questions. So quickly try this. I'll give you a minute. Please solve this, and then we are going to begin with the discussion. So let's start the discussion. Only when dash failed, the police resorted to. So what is resorted? Police got to, right? uh, Took way, right? Or decided to. So you can see there is this transition only. So that means earlier there was something easy done. Only when, like if I'll give you a similar statement, only when reasoning failed, uh, father decided to scold his son. Right? So an extreme measure would come only when the first one, which is not extreme, is taken, right? So we can understand that here there would be a mild thing, and then here it would be a stronger word that's going to appear, right? So only when sincere efforts failed, or negotiation failed, or discussion failed, the police resorted to something which was of higher degree, right? So we can take a look at the answer choices. Only when efforts failed, so police is resorting to another action, that would be also effort, so effort cannot fit in, so we can eliminate it. Right. Manipulation is when you are trying to, you play with the thoughts of other person, right? You are, fooling somebody. That's precisely manipulating. So police would not manipulate. Persuasions mean efforts, or you're doing something regularly, so we can keep this. Arrest would be a mild, would not be a mild term, so this goes out, right? So then we will see that punishment doesn't fit in because arrest doesn't, similarly manipulation doesn't. So force would be the absolute perfect choice, so C would be the correct answer, right? So I hope you're clear with the question. Good time to move to the next one. Please try this, and then we are going to discuss this. Let's start the discussion. Though he is reputed means he's got an image for his technical dash. So if he has a reputation, it would be for his technical skill. So while reading, we are able to understand that we are talking about this person. He additional information is reputed for technical skill. Now there's transition though, which way you're going to use to solve the later part of the sentence. So we can quickly you take a look and do some eliminations here. So make things easy, right? It is not always wise to carry all the options together. Keep on eliminating what you find is unnecessary, or we can do one round of elimination. It is always good that you do that. That's going to make your question solving simpler, and that's what we are actually aiming at, right? So we would want a skill coming in. So yeah, this can get eliminated. Skill keeps, we can keep. Knowledge also we can keep, and expertise also we can keep. So it's just that we can eliminate a answer choice, but still better, right? You are still reducing your options to few, right? So his books were sadly dash of the work of others as he lacked originality. So if he is lacking originality, then his books were sadly copy of the works, right? So like I said, keep the predicted word to be simple. So copy or replica, and then there is this transition though, कि वो जाना तो अपनी टेक्निकल स्किल के जाता, पर फिर भी उसके जो काम था वो कॉपी था, राइट? दैट वाज नॉट ओरिजिनल, right? That is given in the sentence, it lacked originality. Now you can see eight, so we have already eliminated independent, or were sadly independent. अगर independent होगा तो इन दैट केस तो फिर कॉपी नहीं है ना, इंडिपेंडेंट मतलब डिपेंडेंसी नहीं थी. सो दैट इज द रीजन दिस इज नॉट द राइट वर्क. इग्नोरेंट भी होगा तो भी कॉपी नहीं होगी, सो दिस कैन गेट एलिमिनेटेड. सो व्हाट इज द करेक्ट आंसर? डी, डेरिवेटिव. दैट मीन्स इट वाज derived, right? So I hope this is clear to everybody. An interesting question, right? So you can see transitions here, you can see the sentence length increasing from the previous question, and you can just eliminate one answer choice. At times it is as simple that even if you crack one blank, you can reach to the right answer. The choices are so expanded, but at times the choices are very close and it is difficult. Like in this case, we could solve the first blank in a jiffy very quickly, but we could just eliminate only a answer choice. So that's something we need to know, that as we would reach to difficulty level, higher difficulty level, the sentences are going to become complex, choices are going to get closer, and you would need that skill set and right temperament. You should be able to read in between the lines in order to reach to the right answer, right? So let's further proceed. Let's try this question. Try this. I'll give you a minute. The sentence is lengthy. There is no rush. Like I said, we are just focusing on learning the application. So don't take any pressure. Just enjoy the question and let us try this. So let's discuss. The manager's dash attitude let the subordinates know that he was not going to listen to their appeals, which were targeted at getting him to dash his rigid deadlines. So we'll start with the first blank. So you need to find a word. What are we talking about? That what was manager's attitude, right? He was not going to listen to their appeal. So that means his attitude was rigid, right? So we can keep the word rigid for the first blank, right? And we can see that are we able to do any elimination? So impulsive is yes, something that's a little aggravated. Hesitant to nahi hoga, right? Because he was not listening to others, right? Cynical is sunky, so this would not go. uh, Preemptory is also not the right choice. So wow, this is where we have actually hit a jackpot, and just by clicking to the first option you can reach to the right answer, because the other choices are clearly a strict no no. So the manager's rigid attitude or impulsive attitude, that means it's going to get angry. It is not going to listen to their appeals, which were targeted at getting him to dash his rigid guidelines, right? Changes, dissuade, मतलब persuade को opposite होता है dissuade करना. So persuade is you're going to push, dissuade is rigid guidelines to relax the rigid guidelines, right? So I hope it is clear to everybody. Let's move to the next question. Try this. Even though Sally seems dash your home, dash your orderly reputation. So you are going to see that we are talking about Sally, and these are transitions even though, right? So Sally seems means looks like. So if you are able to understand her orderly reputation, even though, so if here we are having a positive word, here we are going to have a negative one. Even though Sally seems orderly, her home rejects her orderly reputation, right? Then only we can do justice to the transition even though, or vice versa can happen. So, let's see. And since the reputation is orderly, let's see what fits in. So the first is unkempt. Her home, a dash her orderly reputation. Reputation is orderly, right? So that means the first word should be, a positive one, right? So let's see. Um, Maybe you can start with the negative one if you would want. Her home rejects her orderly, or defies, right? Or negates. That's how you can fit in, right? So rejects we can keep, reinforce हट जाएगा, validate हट जाएगा, verify हट जाएगा. Validate होता है आप acceptance देते हो, reinforce मतलब उसी idea को re-emphasize करना, verify, right? Unkempt is something which is not kept well, but we would be wanting a positive word. Conflated is complex. So let me give you the meanings also. Unkempt is not kept well, conflated is complex, generous, so this also goes out. So D would be the right match. So like, at times you need to see the tone of the sentence and decide that how would you fix the blanks, right? So I hope it is clear to everybody. Let's move to the next one. Try this and then we are going to discuss it. Thomas could not handle success. The more dash as an actor increased, the more dash his life became. So, is so what are we talking about? We are talking about Thomas. So, what is the additional information that he could not handle success? So, something is increasing. So, his reputation as an actor increased. The more dash his life became. So, troublesome because he could not handle success, right? So here a positive word and here a negative word. Why? Because we are driving the sentence by Thomas could not handle success, right? So eminence is popularity. We can keep this. Eloquence is when you speak well, right? So eloque root is for speech. So you can pen it down if you are making notes. Eloque is for speech. Loquacious, a person who talks a lot is loquacious, right? और grandiloquent जो बढ़ा चढ़ा के बात करते हैं. Eloquent who speaks well. So for Amitabh Bachchan you can use this term eloquent. Agility is when you are flexible, right? Patronage is support. So you are going to see that the only word that fits in will be Just A. So A can be the right choice. And unconstrained is something which is not restricted. Not restricted, not limited, justified, so tumultuous is uthal puthal hona, right? So that's what you mean. So the more difficult his life became, there was a lot of chaos in the life. So the correct answer would be A in this case. I hope you are able to understand that how are we tracing the sentences and reaching to the right answer, right? So let's try the next one. Please try this. Just to tell you that floundered means failed, or they became rotten, or they got spoiled. While Tina initially thought that her plant floundered due to dash of water, she later realized that it struggled because of dash of it. So you are going to see that we are talking about that what happened to Tina's plant, of course, that has spoiled. So there is this transition while, so there would be two opposite ideas fitting. So either there can be this situation that she thought that they failed because there was less water, but then she realized that there was more water. So either if positive comes here, negative comes here, and if negative comes here, positive will come here. So there can be two possibilities. So how can we reach to the right answer, that what combination would be fitting in? There would be just one of the options that would be available in terms of combinations. So let's quickly explore. So we have surfeit, which means abundance, lack. So this fits in. These are two opposite sets. So we can possibly keep. Dearth is lack, paucity is lack. So both are negative, so this cannot be. Widespread doesn't fit in. Widespread is which is popular, which is known. Inundation is doob jana, so widespread is not the right match. Depreciation correction would not. Depreciation in water, correction of it though is not making sense, right? So this is where we go for A. So lot many times students do ask us this question that ma'am, what would be the right way to eliminate? Just look for opposites and you will find that in among the options there would be just one combination where the opposite would set in, right? So in B both are synonym terms, right? Both mean less, or there was not sufficient water. However, we have this transition while, so we need to do justice to that particular word also, right? And depreciation of water might slightly still fit in, but correction of it, correction ka pani ka correction kaise kar sakte ho, right? You can ensure that the flow is correct, but correction, because of correction it will not make sense. So that is the reason D also gets eliminated. Inundation would have been correct in C, but widespread doesn't fit in. So B, C, D are clearly eliminated. So what is the correct answer choice that we are left with? That's A, right? So let's try the next question. I hope you have tried it. So let's discuss. The food critic gave the new restaurant a dash review, claiming that while the food was delicious, the service and decor were dash. So here we can't actually fit the answer, right? So this is not the blank that we can begin with. If you take a look at the later part, the food was delicious, and then there is transition while. That means service and decor were not that good. So if you would want that service and decor were average, that's how you can predict, right? So we will do the elimination. Admirable goes out. consistent नहीं हो सकती क्योंकि there is this transition while, so this goes average we can keep, subjective is also not appropriate. So if one thing is good, one thing is bad, what would be the review? Mixed review, right? So immaculate is something which is absolutely proper without any problem, so this goes out because service and decor were average. Disappointing, of course, would not be that extreme because food was good. Mixed, we have already reached to this particular answer. Glowing भी नहीं हो सकता क्योंकि service and decor बहुत अच्छा नहीं था. तो glowing is when there is a lot of appreciation going on, right? So you can write the meanings of the word. Immaculate means without any error, or perfect, right? And glowing is, which is very positive, so that cannot be also the right answer, right? So I hope you're clear with the question. So you can see how transitions help us and how we can intelligently pick one particular part and then reach to the later difficult complex part of the sentence which is difficult to decode or which would need the understanding of the rest of the statement. You can't decide that what sort of a review you can give until unless you know that what were the facilities there, right? So the sentence is clearly explaining that food was delicious, service and decor were. So what would be service and decor? There is this transition while, so which is clearly showing that there was something different here, right? So let's try the next sentence. Please try this question and then we are going to discuss. Persevering is when you're putting a lot of effort, right? Persevering is putting effort. So let's see. Persevering despite many dash attempts to publish Harry Potter books, J.K. Rowling eventually triumphed, tenacity contributing to her dash success. So, despite many what attempts, that she finally got success. Eventually, matlab finally resulted. Triumphed is she became successful. Okay, triumph is success. That it finally succeeded. She became successful despite many. So can you see there's a transition despite, so there's a negative transition, so despite many failed attempts, right? So let's see, insincere doesn't mean that insincerity is not failed, right? So this goes out. Irregular can be eliminated. Suspicious, so failed absolutely matches, and that's how we are able to reach to the right answer. But tenacity is where you are not giving up, when you are sincere and efforts are consistent, right? So consistent efforts contributing to her final success or resultant success, right? So admirable is not fitting in. Admirable, we could have still put success could be admirable, but insincere will not fit in. Haphazard is random, so this goes out. Explicit is something which is directly stated, so this also doesn't matches. So final it does. Both the choices fit in the blank. So D is going to be the right answer. Okay, so let's try the next question. So let's try this. Because she had a reputation for dash, we were surprised and pleased when she greeted us to dash. So see, surprised and pleased. Again, this is where two opposite words will fit in. She had a reputation for dash. We were surprised and pleased. So can you see pleased? So when are we going to be pleased? When there's something good that's going to happen to us. So here there should be a positive word, and here there should be a negative word, because there is this word surprised, right? So she's got a bad reputation, but she greeted us nicely. So we are surprised and pleased. That's what the sentence is trying to say. Eloquence, like I just explained the word in the previous questions, when you speak well. So this doesn't match, right? And then we can go with the words together. We can check negative and positive. Methodically, how can you greet somebody with a method, right? So this goes out. She has a reputation for arrogance. The negative word fits in, and we were happy and pleased when she greeted us cordially. Cordially means in a pleasant fashion, so in a pleasant way, right? So this we can definitely keep, but I always tell my students that you should never take a final call till you explore all the options. Please keep this suggestion in mind. This is a very sincere advice that I'm keeping, and it's not only to sentence completion questions, but in general to verbal ability questions. Until and unless you explore all the options, never decide for the final answer, right? So gracious is full of grace, elegance, so this will not fit in, so C also gets eliminated. And insolence and malevolently, both are negative words, while we want one positive, one negative, so the correct answer choice is going to be B. All right, so I hope you have understood how to tackle these questions. So let's do this question now. The leader felt that the dash made by the committee was dash, even though similar plans had worked earlier. So, are you able to see that we are talking about even though similar had worked earlier? So, there is a transition. So, this was something which was not possible, right? Right? Are you able to understand? Similar plans had worked earlier, but we are having this transition though. So we can just take a look at the second options, choice for the second option. So infeasible, it just matches. Altruistic is kind. Vengeful is when you take revenge. And gainful will not match. So that's how we have just decoded the question. So felt that suggestion made by the committee, you can have suggestion as the predicted word and then explore the answer choices, though we have already decided on it, but we'll just do the elimination process here. Recommendation matches. Acceptance made by the party would not make sense. Choices, elections will go, because infeasible should fit in, so A would be the correct option, right? So we need to see that how both the choices should be fitting the blank and should be appropriate. Then we are going to decide for the final answer, which happens in A, so A would be the final choice, right? So I hope you really found the session useful. We have done a lot of practice, and we really studied hard and understood that what should be the right approach to solve the sentence completion questions. So my suggestion would be that do put in some effort to build in vocabulary, at least 15 minutes every day, and practice with strategy. Without strategy, it's putting in effort, but the effort is not in the right direction, and gradually increase the difficulty level. Stay consistent, and please do follow us for more tutorials. Take care. All the best.